Hi everyone, welcome to the final multimedia presentation for week 6 for MPA 594. The first theory that I am going to be using is policy analysis, found in MPA 570. The title of that class was Public Policy Analysis. So, as you can see on the screenshot, a brief overview of the steps needed in policy analysis, especially when referring it to my topic on the public school system. Policy and policy analysis are critical to the entire function, and with that, we all know that this process is very slow. Charles Lindblom's Muddling Through explains that just how slow and long this process is, and every little change is done through small increments. You can't just have an idea and then go from 0 to 100. So, also, as he mentions, when developing policy, more times than not, you're going to combine different policies and blend them together because they offer different things that align with the objectives and values you are going for. And then Kingdon's, how does an idea's time come, and the agendas, alternatives, and public policies that go into that process. And if you look at the screenshot, the first block, define and analyze the problem, comes from what is the problem, where does it exist, who is it going to affect, and how is it a problem in the first place? How did this get to be a problem? And I think Kingdon touches on politics and administration, and certain things that are important might not be getting a lot of attention because there are a lot of outside variables that affect this process, like the political climate, national mood, administration, and legislative turnover, and pressure campaigns, especially during election time. So I'm going to be using this model from this previous class to dig deeper with the theories that we have been discussing so far. The next theory is from MPA 580, Legal and Ethical Issues, and I'm going to be focusing on contractarianism. And the more that I read into this and reviewed this lecture, I liked how adaptable it is. You can expand on social structure, organizational structure, shared power, dual federalism, the founding documents, and ethics and morality, and so on. So contractarianism is that there has to be rules and structure, and not only in a social setting, but we also have these unspoken rules in an organizational setting too. And you can bring in Weber and bureaucracy and the structure and the hierarchy of power and so on. But as people, we agree to not violate the free and rational agreements that we have made. And this really just touches on morality and the ethics that are a part of every organization. But I wanted to focus more on the foundation on government and how it was built. So there's contractarianism, but there's also implicit contracts, which are things that we never actually agree to, but just comply with it. Following that, the video also touches on, for example, U.S. citizens who are natural born citizens, but never agreed to follow the land of the law, that there are a lot of benefits of complying with the system. And this idea of dual federalism and the relationship between federal and state and its citizens. And during our week 1 lecture, Professor Sundstrom went on to explain dual federalism and that the power lies with the states. An example was an HOA and how you have the freedom to live the way you want to live, but there is an agreed relationship with the association that takes care of certain things. And public education is something that lies with the states. States' control in regards to education is established from state to state by its own framework. And the state handles a wide range of things like teacher certification, attendance, curriculum, and so on. And then this idea of cooperative federalism and how the federal government steps in, and basically when they have your money, such as taxes and stuff, they can tell you what to do, even though they technically can't tell you what to do. So I kind of want to dive deeper into the foundation and the founding documents and how that has shaped public school systems and private systems. This next theory is from MPA 520, Leadership and Management, and I'm going to be focusing on self-managed teams and how productivity increases when there are more people leading. There was an example in the video where one person was leading the entire organization and they actually had the lowest productivity rate because that person was bearing the entire responsibility of the entire organization. And as different models were tested, the more successful operations were the ones where management was shared and their cooperation increased and became more engaged and aware of the entire organization's functions. So this is kind of how organizations were ran before all these theorists, and this whole concept can relate to Follett's win-win in resolution because she believed organizations would benefit from embracing diversity, and her ideology has a hierarchy of power, but with a cross-organizational process which she blends the power-sharing idea. And not only that, the more involved workers are, the more motivated they feel to work, and then your efficiency increases. Also, workplace culture just becomes better and tailors efficiency and having workers and managers cooperate with one another, assigning roles so that managers spend their time planning and training and allowing workers to perform their tasks efficiently instead of the manager doing all that by themselves. And you can go down the list and build on Fayol's principles of management, Weber's task specialization, and Gulick's POSCORB. Organizations are designed well when they can support self-management. This final theory is also from MPA 520, and I'm going to focus on people-oriented competencies. And this style comes with a lot of unknowns. For example, the task-oriented competencies are outlined very detailed and very cut and dry, but when you're managing and talking about people, it isn't so simple. The image outlines all the things people-oriented leaders need to understand and be aware of, and you need to understand as a leader what motivates your employees, using Maslow, McGregor, Follett, and so on to help expand on each point. And this is going to stress the informal communication with respect to the formal communication within an organization. Barnard's clear communication and conflict resolution can be used to help expand this as well. And there should be a clear channel of communication that everyone understands the order. And everyone needs to have access to those channels because the consequences of informal organizations can affect the attitudes, understandings, and customs of an organization. And this is really about managing a staff, developing your staff, hiring the right people for the job, and then building teams. So assessing personalities and placing who works best together on a team, and then how to manage conflict. And this leader needs to be very adaptable to change and be able to lead a team through change. I found all of these theories in the Leadership in Public Organizations book and the Public Policy book, and all of these points can be found in the table of contents of each book.